I remember they would say it's okay, we'll be alright every night. I could hear it, I remember. I could hear it in the wind, that melody that they would play every single day to remind us it was over. I remember someone left a comment a while ago. The comment said, the only thing that is real is pain. The only thing that's real is pain. One of the most important questions that we need to ask ourselves as humanity is, why is there suffering? Why do we suffer? Why is it important that sentient life suffers? What is the intrinsic value of suffering? Because we do suffer a lot. We do suffer a lot. Not a day goes by without a person experiencing suffering. I mean, each and every person has to go through suffering each and every day. Each and every day. Why is suffering so important? Do we suffer because life wouldn't exist without suffering, or do we suffer because there is something that gains something from our suffering? This is a very important question that we need to ask ourselves. Do we suffer because there was no way that life will continue to exist if there was no suffering? Or do we suffer because there is someone or something that benefits from our suffering? Would it have been impossible for humanity to exist if there was no suffering? Would we die out if there was no suffering? Would life be much worse if there was no suffering? Or life would actually be better if there was no suffering? Why is it that sentient life is always trying to avoid suffering? There are no sentient beings that actually want to suffer. Each and every sentient being is trying to avoid suffering or trying to minimize its own suffering. Why is that? As a human, I'm trying to avoid suffering. I'm not trying to suffer. But I do suffer. And I have suffered a lot. Why? Some people might argue that suffering actually builds character. Suffering, in most cases, destroys character. In most cases, suffering actually destroys character. When you go through hell, you don't come out the same. You don't come out a better person. You don't come out super excited about life and wanting to do things. Like when you come out, you're something else. You're not longer the same. I remember someone made this comment that actually made me laugh. That comment said that Benedictine was head speared by Goldberg in 1999 and he's never been the same ever since. I thought that was actually funny, and what made it funny is because whenever I go through a hard time, I don't come out the same. So that's why I thought that comment was actually funny. Like when you go through something, bro, like you don't come out the same. You might actually come out wiser, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a better person than you used to be. That doesn't mean that you're more friendly than you used to be, more loving than you used to be, you know? When you go through suffering, you learn a lot, and the lessons that you learn don't make you more willing to be a good person. You see? You don't go through hell and then come out and be like, dude, I love everyone and I want to treat everyone right. Wow, this life is so exciting. This life is so great. You come out like, what the fuck was that? I can't trust anyone. I can't be making stupid mistakes. I'm never getting married again. I'm never trusting a woman again. And let me tell you something. Life would be nice if men and women had trust. We don't trust each other because of what we've put each other through. So we're not making each other better by mistreating each other. You know what I mean? If a man go through something very hard because of a woman, he doesn't come out of that wanting to trust another woman. He's no longer the same. So suffering doesn't really build character. Suffering makes us weirder, more disconnected. It actually makes this experience much worse. We are more disconnected than ever because of what we had to go through in the past. You know, it's people who've never been through a lot in life who are actually very open and who trust other people because, well, they even shown them that, hey, people can't really be trusted. So why do we suffer? Why is it important that we suffer? Is it not possible that we're actually suffering because there is something that gains something from our suffering? This is a very important question because suffering is inevitable. You suffer no matter what you do. No matter what you do, you suffer. And we know that humans do not want to suffer. We know that humans will not choose to suffer. You might say, well, if we didn't suffer, we wouldn't be here because we wouldn't know if something was wrong. For example, if when you were sick, you didn't suffer, you wouldn't even seek treatment, right? Because you wouldn't even know that you're sick and then you end up dying. If your leg got injured, you'll not know that your leg was injured. And you'll not get treatment. You'll continue to walk on that leg that is injured until it becomes totally broken. Until they have to decapitate your leg. Amputate your leg, not decapitate, amputate your leg. But I do believe that there will be a way that we'll know if something was wrong with us. Like, we wouldn't need to suffer to know that something was wrong with us. Think of it this way, like, would you want to suffer if whenever your car has a problem? Or you would want to know in another way? Like, you wouldn't want to suffer if your engine has a problem. You wouldn't want to suffer because your engine has a problem. Like, you would want to know in another way so that you get it fixed. If your lights has problems, if your chairs have problems, if your tires have problems, like, would you want to suffer? You experience suffering so that you go and fix the car, or would you want to know in another way? Of course you wouldn't want to suffer. You would want to know in another way. We don't need to suffer if there's something wrong with us. There should have been another way for people to know when something is wrong with them so that they will go and get it fixed without having to suffer. So really, why do we suffer? is it not possible that when we suffer, we release energy that something wants? Because the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Like, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. The amount of people who are suffering in the world, the amount of animals that are suffering in this world. If you were to come up with a theory that actually explains suffering, a theory that will actually make sense will be that when sentient life suffers, it produces something, and there is something that feeds off that. That's the only explanation. That's the only good explanation. No one wants to suffer, bro. We suffer. Emotionally, we suffer. Physically, we suffer. We're not even ourselves anymore because we've suffered so much and we don't want to suffer anymore. The emotions that we feel, jealousy. We hate people for feeling jealousy, but is it really their fault? Human beings have been created that way. They feel jealousy, and feeling jealous doesn't make you feel comfortable. It's not like you want to feel jealous. No human wants to feel jealous at all. Jealousy is an uncomfortable feeling. You don't want to look at someone who has what you want and feel jealous. Like, if humans were able to choose not to feel jealous, they will choose not to feel jealous. So it's not their fault. And there's something wrong with demonizing people for feeling jealous. Like, they're just that way. They can't help it. Even if they pretend as if they don't feel jealous, it doesn't mean that they're not. You see? People feel jealous. People feel anxious. People feel angry. People feel sad. People feel lonely. People feel alone. So you don't just suffer because something is happening. You suffer sometimes because something isn't happening. You see? Like, you can never get rid of suffering. You suffer all the time. You suffer when you work. You get super tired. You suffer when you get hungry. You suffer when you are sick. When you work too hard, sometimes you get a headache. That's suffering. You can never not suffer. You see? Doesn't that tell us that something isn't right? Shouldn't that make us very suspicious? Shouldn't that make us go like, okay, what the heck is this? Why is there so much suffering? Why can't we pause our suffering and take a break? Some people suffer in their sleep, have nightmares. Can you imagine? You suffer during the day because you go through hell, and then you go to sleep, and then you have nightmares. Remember, your brain doesn't know the difference between when you are dreaming and when you're not dreaming. So even when you're dreaming, if you have nightmares, if there is something that you release, you will release it. You see? If you release bad energy that some entity wants when you are suffering during the day, you will still release that bad energy even when you are having nightmares. We don't even control our dreams. We don't. They just happen. And what's crazy is that we don't even know when we're dreaming, so that we think it's real. It seems like something is creating a reality that makes us suffer so that we'll release this energy that it wants. Does that not make sense? Because there will be no reason for humans to suffer in their sleep. Why? That's the time that you're supposed to be resting, and you're supposed to be having the best dreams, supposed to be having what you want in your dreams. If you can't have what you want in this reality, then at least when you're sleeping, you have what you want, right? You are with the people that you want to be with. You have the job that you want. You're driving the car that you want. But no, even when you're dreaming, you suffer. Doesn't that tell us something? Shouldn't that make us suspicious? The fact that life is suffering should make us suspicious. The fact that the only thing that is real is pain. I mean, that's how most people feel. You feel like you can't avoid pain, so it has to be the only thing that is real. That should make us suspicious. That shouldn't make us think that we're having a positive experience. Yes, you can be so unconscious that even when you are being abused, you don't see that you're being abused. That happens. I've seen that happen a lot. That's one of the biggest reasons why people who are in a cult where they are being abused don't even realize that that's what's happening. They're going to realize when it's too late that that was what was happening. You see? That's when they'll be interviewed. Like, oh, how were you unable to see that you were in a cult? Then they blame the cult leader. Well, he was manipulative, he was this and that. Like, nah, you just saw them unconscious. Even now, people are going through a lot, but they're too unconscious to see that what they're going through is actually a lot. They're too unconscious to see that this is not meaningful. This is not good. This doesn't make any sense. So they think that people who are saying that this does not make sense are bad. These people are evil. These people have issues. Because that's what they've been told. It has to do with the narrative that they've been given. Any person who speaks this way, they have issues. So whenever they see a person speaking a certain way, they'll be like, oh yeah, that person has issues. They don't even listen to what the person is saying. A person cannot speak that way unless they have issues. You see, something is not right. When you look at the way we are being controlled from top to bottom, you can see something isn't right. You can see that we are being forced to comply. We are being forced to love this. We are being forced to think that this is okay. That is why when you feel like this is not okay, they say that you have issues. You see, that's being forced. You're not supposed to have your own perspective. You're not supposed to say, I don't think this is okay, and that's why I don't like it here. Like it's not because I'm sick. It's not because I have mental illnesses. It's because, well, this is just not okay. And here's why I don't think it's okay. And you're not allowed to say that. If you say that you have issues, still, even if you make complete sense, shouldn't that make us suspicious? Why are we being controlled? Why don't we have autonomy? Why can't people exit peacefully? I do fully understand that there are some people who are dumb or just pretending to be dumb, who are allowing their religious beliefs to dictate how they feel about everything, who believe that humans shouldn't be autonomous. Humans shouldn't choose what they want to do with their own bodies. I do know that there are some people who are like that, but still, if there was nothing wrong in this realm, I think we would have been able to overcome that. I think we would have been able to overcome the ignorance. But it seems like ignorance always wins. Ignorance always finds a way to win. No matter what we do, ignorance always finds a way to win. Why is ignorance very powerful in this realm? Isn't it because there are some people who want everyone to remain ignorant? Because the more ignorant we are, the easier we are to control. We can't control people who are not ignorant, but people who are ignorant are very easy to control. The only way to control people who are not ignorant is to force them to submit, is to force them to do whatever you say they should do. You can't force a person who's not ignorant to do the things that they do not want to do. Because they know what they want. They're not ignorant. They understand themselves. They understand what they want. But people who are not who are very ignorant are very easy to control, because they don't even know themselves. They don't even know what they want. They just believe what they are told. So isn't that the reason why they are keeping everyone ignorant, and the people who are not ignorant are being made to look bad, being made to look unstable? Every day when I wake up in the morning, I always tell myself that I hope that I don't do anything that's gonna make me look bad, or that's gonna make antinatalism look bad, that's gonna make the truth look bad, that's gonna make atheism look bad. I'm not an atheist, by the way, but some people would call me an atheist. I get it, but I'm trying to represent my position in the best way possible, because I don't want people to be like, oh, you see, I always knew there was something wrong with that guy. Did you hear what he did? I don't want that to happen, because I know that I'm right. I know beyond any reasonable doubt that I'm actually right, because I know how real I am. I know how honest I am with myself and with other people, and I know how dishonest other people are. I know that many people don't even understand themselves. So I trust myself. So why is it that a person who's very stable like me, who trusts themselves, who makes a lot of sense, who doesn't lose debate, is considered bad in this kind of society? Why is honesty a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing to actually speak your truth without lying in any way, without manipulating anyone in any way, but just saying exactly what you really think? Something is off. People will hate you for speaking the truth, because they've been programmed to hate people who speak the truth, not because they just hate people who speak the truth, but society has been programmed to live a lie. So when they hear someone speaking the truth, they automatically think that there's something wrong, because we've been programmed to lie. We lie. We're not supposed to speak the truth. When you go to a funeral, they ain't speaking the truth. You go to a church, they ain't speaking the truth. You go to a school, they ain't speaking the truth. Every time when they speak in public, they don't really tell us the truth. Right? It's like, this is just a show. It's like WWE. WWE superstars ain't supposed to go in the ring and just start saying how they really feel. That's not supposed to happen. They'll get fired. Right? So it's like, this is a show. You're not supposed to really say how you really feel. You're supposed to play a game of some sort. You're not supposed to be honest. Isn't that weird though? That humans ain't supposed to be honest. They'll say, oh, it's dangerous. Like, no, there are a lot of things that are dangerous. Look at the wars that are going on in the world. Wars are dangerous. If we really cared about protecting people, we'd make sure that there's no wars, 100%. We'd actually make sure that everyone is safe, everyone has food, everyone, when they get sick, they get good treatment. Like, no one is really going through hell because no one cares about them. So you see that it's all a lie. No one really cares. People just complain and find a way to censor the truth. Like, oh, did you hear what this guy said? Oh, that's bad. Yeah, that's evil. Imagine if someone who's vulnerable hear this guy saying this, oh, this is gonna happen. Like, no, you're just a bitch trying to like censor people who are actually honest. See the problem? So why is it that we're not allowed to truly be honest? To say, hey, this is really what I'm going through, and this is what I think about what I'm going through. Why can't you really say that without people being shocked? Like, oh, that's what you really think? Wow, I can't believe it. Wow. Like, what? That's how I feel, bruh. It's not my fault that I feel the way that I feel. And that's why I've been telling y'all guys that you should never be ashamed of who you are. Ever. Because there's nothing to protect. You are what society made you to be. Like, it's, why protect what society has created? You are what life created. So what's there to protect? Reveal yourself. This is what life has created, and I'm not ashamed of it because it's what life has created. I didn't create myself. I didn't choose to have this kind of perspectives. I didn't choose to be real. I mean, kind of did choose to be real because that's important, but isn't that better than me playing this game that I'm being forced to play? And why am I being forced to play a game? Why am I being forced to lie to people? Why do I get more appreciated when I lie than when I speak the truth? Isn't there something wrong with that? Is that something that I must appreciate? The fact that ignorance rules should tell you something. People are not free to talk about their suffering. They're not free to really be themselves. There's a reason why when people are truly honest, they hide their faces. Like here on YouTube, some people will hide their faces. There's a reason why. It's because society doesn't want people to speak their truth, doesn't want people to speak their minds. And they know that. So they're like, oh, I don't want anyone to see my face when I'm speaking the truth. Because they will say that there's something wrong with me, even if there's nothing wrong with you. Why is it that there's something wrong with you when you speak the truth, but there's nothing wrong with you when you lie? This is a very important question. There are lies out there that that we see every day. Pastors who are performing fake miracles every day, they'll be lying to people and they know that they're lying, but there's nothing wrong with them. These are the people that are worshipped in our society. These are the people that are respected in our communities. Why? But the people who really speak the truth, these are the people that are looked down upon. Oh, this one has mental illnesses. You must ask yourself why the world is the way that it is, why everything is upside down. Like nothing really makes sense. Everything is backwards. We know exactly how things should be, but things are the opposite of what they should be. That should make us suspicious. That should make us go like, something isn't right. Nothing is working the way that it should be working, and I'm conscious enough to see that. I'm intelligent enough to see that. I'm not going to allow society to tell me how I must view the world. I know how I must view the world. No one should tell me how to view the world. The truth is that people who are very conscious, people who can see through the bullshit, people who know how things should be, suffer a lot. People who are not conscious, people who don't see when they are being manipulated, people who don't see the truth suffer less. But we all suffer. That should tell you something. The more conscious you are, the more you suffer. The less conscious you are, the less you suffer. As if being conscious is a bad thing. But that wouldn't be a bad thing in a world that is good. Being conscious will actually be a good thing in a world that is good. In fact, being conscious will actually put you in a better position in a world that is good. You see, being conscious will be a great thing. But in a world that is bad, being conscious is a bad thing. Being able to see things as they are is a bad thing. Being able to be real is a bad thing. Telling people the truth is a bad thing. Being intellectually honest is a bad thing. Not being delusional is a bad thing. Are we not suffering because there is something that wants us to suffer and that ensures our suffering? Think about it. Think about the wars. Think about the rate of unemployment. Think about how we're being forced to compete. Do you really think kids want to compete? And do you think kids should actually be made to compete? Or should actually be working together because each and every kid is different? Think about it. They haven't trained us to work together since we were young. It was every kid for himself. That's how it always was. So when we grow up, it's every man for himself. We're not working together. And there's never going to be peace in a world where people are competing because they've been trained to compete. There will never be peace, bro. In a world where people have been trained to compete, when I do better than everyone else, I feel happy. I don't feel like, wait. I need everyone to be able to do things the way that I'm able to do things. You see, so I gotta help them. I don't feel that way. That's considered wrong. Like the system doesn't want that. The system wants to put me on top, and I must control the people that I'm able to do better than. That's what the system wants. Isn't that proof that something isn't right? How can we conclude that that is a good thing? How can we conclude that this is the kind of world that we should be bringing our children into? If we want to compete, it would be nice to have competitions, but we shouldn't compete for survival. That's just wrong. Right? We shouldn't be competing for survival. People shouldn't be competing for resources. That means that something is wrong. Why do we gotta compete for resources? Why do we gotta compete for resources that are there and available for everyone? And if there are not enough resources, then it means it will be much more logical for people to not be creating more people. And we should be having that kind of conversation. Like, people should be ready to have that kind of conversation, that maybe we don't have enough resources, so we shouldn't be creating more people, because these people are going to suffer because they will have to fight for the resources, which is completely unnecessary. They don't have to be here now. No, they don't have to be born now. If there are souls waiting to come here, and then fine, they will come here. But now it isn't the time, because there isn't enough resources. You see, if a kid is born and they're sick, they will have to go through hell because there isn't enough resources. And that isn't fair. That isn't right. That isn't something that we must be proud of as a society. That shouldn't be something that we should be congratulating people for in this society. When people who don't have resources have children, we shouldn't be congratulating them. We shouldn't be telling them the truth, that, hey man, You're not doing something that is good. This is not a positive thing to do. You're going to give this kid a horrible experience. And this kid is not going to amount to anything because of you. Because you have been selfish. You didn't look at your situation. You felt like if you have a baby, then you would have ensured that your bloodline continues. But really, it's not even your bloodline because you didn't even create yourself. So you're not even obligated to continue your bloodline if you really think about it. It's just your ego that's making you believe that you must continue your bloodline, but there's absolutely nothing to gain, and what you're really doing is continuing a cycle of suffering, which is completely unnecessary. We need to be that honest with ourselves. It's the truth that's going to set us free. Lies ain't setting us free. These illusions, these delusions ain't setting us free. It's the truth. Trust me, it is the truth that is going to set us free. That's why we need to be super honest. Like, we need to be so honest with ourselves that we don't do things that are backwards. We don't do things that we can't justify. We don't do things that are stupid. We actually do things that we can explain rationally. We're not being controlled by our emotions. I feel like having a baby, so I'm having a baby. No, you must think. Think about the environment that you'll be bringing your baby into. Is it a good environment? Will you be there for the baby? Will you be able to ensure that the baby is going to be happy? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't be having the baby, because it's illogical for you to be having a baby. So it seems like there is something that is ensuring that people remain ignorant. People continue to tell themselves lies. When they go to churches and pastors lay their hands on them, they fall and start to believe that these pastors have powers and they can help them. But I think all of that is not real. What do I mean when I say it's not real? I don't mean that people don't fall when pastors pray for them. I mean that something is making people fall so that they will remain ignorant. Like when they pray for you and then you fall, you'll be like, oh, so that means that the Holy Spirit is real and I must read the Bible and believe in what's written in the Bible. Well, nothing is really changing. You still see people who are going to church suffering. I know people who will be exercised every Sunday, bro. They'll go to church this week and then the pastor prays for them and then they fall down and they start rolling, start vibrating, start moving like snakes, start saying some things. You know, the pastor will be like, oh, get out of this person. And then put the mic on that person and that person starts saying some crazy shit like, hey, you're a powerful pastor. I thought that I will be able to remain hidden because I was coming to destroy the church. And I would always ask myself, why do these demons compliment these pastors? Like, think about it. There's something weird about that. So someone gets exercised and the demon actually compliments the person that's exercising that person. Why? Wouldn't demons be mad and actually talk shit about that pastor and actually try to expose him? Think about it. Think about it. Let's say I was a pastor and demons hated me. And when I prayed for people, these demons manifested. What do you think they'll say about me? They'll be like, oh, Benedictines, oh, you are so powerful. You are so powerful. Will they say that? Let's be real. Or they will tell me how much they hate me. Or they will try to expose me. If there's something that I'm doing that is wrong, that people don't know, they will expose me. I'll be like, oh, Benedictines, you do drugs. You do drugs. You do drugs before you go and pray for people. You do drugs. Like, you know, because they'll be seeing me doing drugs. So they'll expose me. I mean, I don't do drugs, but I'm just giving you an example. These pastors, bruh, like these demons compliment them and they're not even perfect. So you need to ask yourself why. You need to see when you are being made to see a certain reality. Like if a certain reality is being created for you so that you'll be dumb, you can say that that's meant to make you stupid. Like it doesn't make you more conscious. You're supposed to remain at a very low level of consciousness where you're like, oh, there's demons, and I must go to church and listen to my pastor preaching, and that's gonna protect me, blah blah blah. Like, nah, man, you need to rise above all that nonsense and become much stronger so that you will stand for what is true. And that is actually the only way you can free yourself, because you're not believing in any nonsense. Like, we need to be that honest with ourselves and stop telling ourselves lies. Ignorance is in bliss. Don't let people lie to you. In fact, the reason why we're in the mess that we're in today is because of ignorance. People are so damn ignorant, bruh. People are so damn ignorant. And because of their ignorance, they make bad decisions. And we know that when we make bad decisions, bad things happen. We need to think right in order to make the right decisions so that good things will happen. We're not minimizing suffering by being ignorant. It doesn't work that way. So there's definitely something that wants humanity to remain ignorant, and you can see that. You can see that when you turn on your television and you watch the news, you watch music channels, you can see the kind of music that they're feeding us. You can see that something isn't right, because you know that there's quality music that they can give us, but they will not be giving us quality music. When you try to study, if you're a student, you see that something isn't right because of what you'll be studying, what you're being forced to study. How they measure your intelligence. They measure your intelligence by your ability to memorize, by your ability to allow other people to brainwash you. Because that's it. Like, being able to memorize is actually being able to allow people to brainwash you. That would be like if I was trying to brainwash someone and I was telling them what I wanted them to believe, and I was measuring their intelligence by their ability to remember what I told them. That's not intelligence. That just shows that you've been brainwashed. That's it. There's nothing to do with, like, it has nothing at all to do with intelligence. I've always wondered why people believe that people who are able to memorize things are intelligent. Like, no, it's nothing to do with intelligence. So you can see that people are supposed to be ignorant. When you go on social media, you see that people are supposed to be ignorant, bro. When Kendrick disses J. Cole, that's huge. When Kendrick disses Drake, that's huge. 7 million views in one day. But when people try to do something that's going to actually help other people, things that are actually going to make the world a better place, no one cares. It has to do with how they programmed us. They program us to love stupid things. Now, I'm not against entertainment, by the way. I think it's nice that we have entertainment sometimes, but the way that this is pushed on our faces shows you that something isn't right. When people are being ignorant, the fact that we're supposed to see that's something is not right. Like, oh, that's entertainment. Like, yeah, we like that. I'm a rapper. I'm a fan of hip hop, and I want to see that. But it's like it's forced on us somehow. It's like someone tells them that, hey, Kendrick, you have to diss Drake. We want these people to focus on y'all now. You have to diss Drake. Drake is gonna respond, and then you diss him again. It's like that's how it works. Like, they're trying to distract us from something. Like, that's the perfect way for them to distract us. While there's a lot going on in the background. The truth is that something isn't right. And we need to open our eyes to what is actually going on. If we can't see what is going on, then we need to be as honest as possible with ourselves. If we don't know what's going on, then we need to be honest with ourselves. And if we don't know what is going on and we are honest with ourselves, we'll still make the right decisions, you see? If we can't know what is really going on for sure, we'll still be able to make the right decision. Because even though we don't know that what's really going on, we know that something isn't right. You know, that's what people who are intellectually honest would be able to realize, that something isn't right. And when something isn't right, you need to know what you need to do. If you are in a world that you don't understand and there's a lot of suffering and nothing really makes sense and everything seems to be upside down, you know that, hey, I'm not going to create another person. Like, that's the only logical thing to do. We might say, well, I'll keep on fighting and keep on learning, try to figure out what this is and what it's all about, but I ain't creating a copy of myself because I can see that something isn't right. Like, that's a sign of intelligence. But when people remain ignorant because they've been made to be ignorant, they've been made to worship ignorance, that is really scary. When you see how people are being brainwashed, it's scary, bro. I mean, some of us, it wasn't easy for us to allow ourselves to be brainwashed because we already knew what was going on. It's like if a person who thinks like an atheist is supposed to be told about God. Like, they already know what's going on. Like, if you were thinking like an atheist since you were young and your parents were trying to preach to you about God, of course you would see that, you see through the bullshit. And when you're seeing other kids believing your parents, you'll be like, what? Like, you'll see exactly what's going on and you'll see how they are becoming brainwashed every day to a point where they're no longer themselves. They become a lesser version of themselves. Nothing to respect, because now there's a new program that has been installed in their brains that actually make them serve something that they weren't supposed to be serving. You need to save yourself. Who are you? What do you want? You mustn't allow someone to turn you into a robot, into a soldier, their soldier, right? You end up fighting wars that you weren't supposed to be fighting and you think you're doing the right thing. Fight for yourself. I'm fighting for myself. I'm not fighting for someone else. I'm fighting for myself. I'm fighting for my own freedom. I'm standing for what I stand for. I'm standing for what makes the most sense. Regardless of what other people are saying, regardless of what other people are thinking, I'm not going to be ashamed to speak my truth. This is who I really am. And it's important that I remain like this because I still don't know what the heck is going on. And I mustn't pretend as if I know what is going on because I don't. I mustn't pretend as if this is making sense because it isn't. People are ignorant. If you're going to follow other people, nothing is going to make sense. If you're going to be following other people, like, oh, this is what other people are doing, so that means I must also be doing what they're doing, nothing is going to make sense. Nothing. But if you're truly honest with yourself, if you're truly going to stand for your truth, for your own personal truth, because you don't know what's going on, man. You don't know. Maybe other people are in on it. Who knows? Like, you need to be so skeptical that you are only certain about what you know. Right? You need to be so skeptical that you are only certain about what you actually know. You can't be following anyone. Maybe other people are in on it, or some people are in on it. Maybe the reason why some people are so damn ignorant is because they're in on it. So they're trying to make you, a very conscious being, follow them by pretending to be ignorant. You see, because human beings are social creatures. Isn't that possible? You find yourself doing something that is not good for you because other people are making you do it because they are really against you, but you don't even know that they're against you. They know what is going on, but you don't. So you need to be intellectually honest. If you are being made to do something that doesn't make sense, you say, hey, this does not make any sense. I cannot be copying these people. To me, something seems wrong. Something seems off. If they don't think that something is off, it's fine. They're going to do what they do. It's fine. But I'm going to be as real as possible. I'm going to be in alignment with who I really am, what I really stand for, what makes the most sense to me, not what makes sense to other people. I can't trust other people, especially considering the fact that they do not make sense. When I ask them to explain themselves, they don't make any sense. I mean, if they were making sense, I'll be like, okay, it's fine. But they don't make any sense. So I need to be honest with myself. I need to be real. I need to be authentic. I need to stop living in fear. It needs to get to a point where you no longer fear being judged. I know people say that that is not possible, and I'm telling you it's possible. It's just that it doesn't happen overnight. What happens is that once you become more of who you are and you get used to people judging you, it gets to a point where when people judge you, you just don't care. Like, I'm used to this. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I've been judged. But if you've never been judged before, bro, you're gonna feel very bad when people judge you because you've never been judged. You see the problem? If people never told you that they feel like there's something wrong with you, then when someone tells you that they feel like there's something wrong with you, when you try doing something that's real, you're gonna feel like there's really something wrong with you, and you're gonna stop doing what you want to do. You see? But when you're used to it, you're like, yeah, there is. I don't care. This is what makes the most sense to me. If you think that what I'm doing is wrong, tell me and tell me why you think I'm wrong. I'm willing to listen. If you are right, then I'll side with what you're saying. But if you're just an NPC and you've just been programmed to tell me that what I'm doing is wrong, but then you don't tell me why you think that what I'm doing is wrong, then I ain't going to believe you. You might try to make me feel bad about what I'm doing, but that's not going to work. You see? Because in a world where we are being lied to, we're being controlled, and we're being farmed, that will happen. You see, they'll make you doubt yourself. The truth is that something is off. Something is really off. and we need to open our eyes. Watch everything that is happening. Don't ever, no matter what happens, don't ever comply with bullshit. Stand your ground. Stand for what makes the most sense. You cannot tell me that is sinning. You cannot tell me that a person who stand their ground and stand for what they believe in is actually sinning. I'll tell you that people who lie and who are living a lie, those are the people who are sinning. But if you truly stand your ground and stand for your truth, you're not sinning. You are being exactly what you are. And that's what life is created. So why should you be afraid to be who you are? Why should you be ashamed of who you are? Doesn't make any sense. You need to stand for your truth no matter what. Because we are suffering in this matrix, bro. We are suffering, and nothing is working as it should. And we all can see that. We all can sense that something isn't right. Something is off. So it's important that we open our eyes. Make sure that we're doing the right things all the time, instead of holding ourselves back. Shouldn't be afraid of what people think of you, man. I'm telling you, don't be afraid. Each and every person that you know is gonna die at some point anyway, and they don't know what they're doing. It's not like other people know what they're doing. So be as real as possible and stand for your truth no matter what, because there's a lot that's going on that we don't understand here. So we mustn't be living a lie. That doesn't help us in any way, shape, or form. The things that people go through, bro. No matter how hard I try, I'm unable to justify suffering. You can say, Benedictine, if you didn't suffer, you wouldn't be this conscious. And you're right. But there's a problem. The problem is that what I'm saying doesn't align with what we are being made to believe in this world. Does that make sense? So I've suffered, and this is what I am now. A very conscious being who's saying this world is bad. So would you say suffering did build character? Did it make me more I might be more loving, but I would still be more loving. It's not like I was a hateful person, but I'm not in love with the world after having been through what I've been through. So you can't really say, no, it's building. Like when they say suffering builds character, they're actually saying that it makes you love the world, it makes you better according to the world, to the standards of the world, I became very conscious, but I'm saying this is bad. I'm saying suffering isn't good. I'm saying no one has to go through suffering. Unless we suffer so that we realize that this realm is bad, right? Unless that was the point of it. The point of it was for me to realize that this realm is bad, so that I will do what I need to do to be able to free myself. That's the best way that you can explain it. That, suffering is a good thing because you become conscious enough to realize what you need to do. If you don't suffer, then you don't realize when something isn't right. If you explain it that way, I'll be like, it kind of makes sense. But if you say, nah, man, actually suffering builds character. It's gonna make you do the right thing according to the standards of the world, because being an internationalist isn't considered a good thing in this world. If you're gonna be an internationalist, people are going to judge you, so it isn't really considered a good thing. Suffering makes you more... unwilling to do things, right? It makes you more anxious, makes you more paranoid, less trusting. If you've been a soldier and you had to go back to your country and live a normal life, you wouldn't be able to live a normal life. You'll be paranoid, feel like people are trying to shoot you. PTSD. Right. You have nightmares about the people that you've killed. Think about it, like soldiers, they have nightmares about people that they've killed because they've killed too many people. Some of them, they feel like these people are haunting them because you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to kill people. So all this shit comes back. You're like, shit, I can't believe what I've done. That person had a family. What was I even fighting for? Who was I fighting for? You know what I mean? Thank you all, guys.